Hi, everyone. It's a true honor to be here at the RabbitMQ Summit again. I have seen many familiar faces, and I have had the opportunity to catch up with many of you. Today, I might take you on a wild ride during this day's final session, because last time I gave a talk, I somehow managed to break the clicker, destroy the sound port on the computer, and my phone died right before I went on stage, so I had to borrow everything. One of my colleagues, Mange, he said, it's not bad luck, it's part of my personality, so I guess I just have to live with that. I still like you, Mange. So buckle up and prepare for some awkward pauses, but isn't that what makes message queuing so great? It handles pauses, like when the publisher sends messages faster than the consumer can handle it, and it helps recover from issues, and it keeps things running in the background. And that's what we are here to celebrate today. How message queues quietly keeps the world running even when things go wrong. Depending on who you ask, the story about RabbitMQ might be told differently. But this today, it's my story, and I will guide you through the history of RabbitMQ according to me. I will talk about the evolution of 84 codes and our product, CloudAMQP, and how my career goes hand in hand with RabbitMQ, and how we together we will explore how we have grown and evolved together, side by side, and how we have impacted each other. So first of all, I want to take you back to 2007, the same year as the iPhone was released. Back then, I looked like this. This is in Berlin, actually. And little did that girl know about the project called RabbitMQ that aimed to solve messaging challenges, mainly in financial systems. It's been with us a long time, which is really cool. Back then, I played a lot of football. I loved to dance through the night, not every night though, but I probably could have, but I'm glad I didn't. And I also studied for my master's in computer science. I was also deeply into gaming, especially multiplayer game where you take roles as terrorists or counter-terrorists. Any guesses? Quake, Counter-Strike, correct. Counter-Strike was one of my first experiences that sparked my inner hacker. When I was 17, I dedicated countless of hours into this game, planning and communicating with my clanmates. When we were setting up gaming servers in our closets and hosting LAN parties, it all felt like a big adventure. We spent hours running cables, troubleshooting connection just to get this ultimate gaming setup. One time, I by accident unplugged the freezer in our basement. My mother was not happy at all, and the smell a week after was kind of taking a life of its own. Looking back at all this, it's all about problem solving, just like work and life today. Whether setting up a server, managing a queue in the cloud, or fine-tuning the configuration, or putting the kids to bed. The trick is to jungling everything behind the scenes, ensuring the front end experience stays stable. So who am I? My name is Lovisa. I live in Sweden in a place called Skellefteå, pronounced she left you, which is, I think it's just funny. And in Sweden we have this funny habit. No, first, I live on the countryside with chicken, ducks, children, and so on. But in Sweden, we have this funny habit of always talking about the weather. Maybe it's because we have 5 seasons, or we say we have 5 seasons. We have the summer, we have the winter, autumn, spring. And then in between the winter and spring, we have something we called spring-winter, which is a unique time for us because it's when the sun starts to come back and shine warm after being away in the winter, but the snow still sticks around. And the picture here of the dogs, it's from that very season. I love windy days because it gets me out on the water, kite surfing. I love the days when the sun shines because it's just the best. And I love the first snow when it comes because then you can go out skiing and take out the skis again. I don't like the rain, but somehow I managed to taught my kids that when it's raining, we celebrate and we go out and dance in the rain, which is super cute until it's 6 in the morning and it's raining, and the rest, you will understand the rest. RabbitMQ was one of the first message brokers to implement the advanced message queuing protocol. And being open source, it was free for developers and companies to use, and its ability to handle lots of messages and load balance workloads made it a great fit for growing applications. During that time, more and more users were drawn to it as companies faced increasing data and user demands. For example, if you think about the online shopping back in 2007, it was a big rise in customer activity, and we also added this really nice days like Black Friday, which made a lot of more users coming to the website at the same time. 2010 was RabbitMQ acquired by SpringSource, and after the initial release, it became a favorite among many developers and companies that were searching for a reliable messaging solution. And one of the first notable adapters was Mozilla, which integrated RabbitMQ to handle notifications in some Mozilla tools. Also a common example, NASA's Nebula Cloud Computing Initiative. They implemented RabbitMQ to handle their cloud infrastructure. After my studies, I worked a little bit back home in Sweden, and then I moved to Mauritius because I love kite surfing. It's just outside of Madagascar, where I worked with system development in a really warm office most days. I was also deeply into scuba diving. And at the same time, my classmate, Carl Hörberg, he was also into scuba diving. He lived in Bali, and he was also busy launching CloudAMQP. I remember when we talked back in the days, he showed these cute icons that we have for our pricing page. And I just think they are so cute. Anyhow, I often share the story about CloudAMQP's beginning, because it defines the very need for this company to exist. Carl founded CloudAMQP after a few years as a consultant, and while working with a client, he realized that this client, they needed a message queuing solution to address their struggles. And when he searched at the web, he couldn't find the solution for a hosted RabbitMQ solution, so it led to the inspiration to create CloudAMQP, which today is a hosting provider of RabbitMQ, if everyone is not familiar with that. Side note is that we have worked remotely since day one. 2013, Pivotal also acquired RabbitMQ. On a sunny day, 2014, I had a conversation with Carl, and we discussed job possibilities at the 84Codes. And it was clear for me that it was more than just a job, it was an opportunity to join an upcoming cloud messaging journey. However, the decision to work with them came with some challenges. My father, he works in a bank, he's a bank manager, and he was really skeptical. He couldn't understand why on earth I would join a startup for a lower salary than all other job offers out there. He was viewing it as risky, and there wasn't even a financial statement available at that time. I didn't follow my father's advice, and for me the decision, it wasn't about a paycheck. It was about passion and be able to contribute to an exciting new project that had just begun. So, when Germany took its fourth title in the FIFA World Cup, I officially joined 84Codes exactly 10 years ago. And this is my first work week. We met up in Bali and went up on some mountain somewhere. And this was also the first time that I encountered RabbitMQ. And I must admit, it wasn't really love at the first sight. RabbitMQ initially seemed complex and overwhelming with queues, exchanges, channels, protocols, and all that. However, I delved deeper into it. I started to compare it to other message brokers, look at our customers' cases, and see how they were using RabbitMQ, and I slowly began to see its value. Back then, I worked part-time in the support team. I worked with programming. I was even working with sending out the invoices to our customers, because all of that was not automated at that time. But I was also focusing heavily on technical documentation. Beginning from scratch, I learned RabbitMQ at the same pace as I teach it to others. And I looked closely into concepts like prefetch, like alternate exchange. I was reading and testing everything I could. Federation and shovels were really interesting back then. So one of my first guides was about cluster migration with queue federation, if I don't remember it that wrong. Times got challenging between me and RabbitMQ when 3.6 was released. There was some kind of bug in the management stats database, which caused some kind of memory leak. I don't remember exactly what it was and how it went, but I know that I was up a lot of nights, upgrading servers to newer versions, or just putting the customers on heavier, more powerful machines. But with 3.6, did also lazy queue come, which was like a renewal of our relationship once this bug was fixed. And here is about the memory leaks. And this is just a picture showing that we were 3 in the team back then, which was why we had so many sleepless nights. Anyhow, we made lazy queues the default settings on our multi-tenant setups servers really quickly. At one point, I decided that I wanted to do a beginner's guide about RabbitMQ. And after some debate, I proceeded with the idea, despite concerns that this would be too basic for everyone. We thought everyone visiting our website, they already know everything about RabbitMQ, right? The blog was published 2015, and it's been read more than 2.5 million times, and constantly remaining one of CloudAMQP's most visited entry points year after year. And we realized here that everyone didn't know everything about RabbitMQ after all. Many were just getting started or curious about it. And they turned to us, many of them, not all of them, but many of them turned to us for help. And we even had a free plan available so people could try out RabbitMQ. We put some effort into putting all these blogs together into a book, which you might have seen out here. During the years, we have added new use cases, we have added features, we have rewritten it a bit, and it's been downloaded about 100,000 times now, which is also pretty much. At this time, 2015, we also began to host other services, Apache Kafka, MQTT, and PostgreSQL. And I think when we started with Apache Kafka, I think I also went on my first date with RabbitMQ. Because I have more feelings for RabbitMQ than for Kafka, as many of you in here. RabbitMQ's flexibility, ease of use, and ability to handle enough data for the most use cases was the things that won me over. CloudAMQP expanded. We added and welcomed more team members. We did departments, but we still wanted to remain a really small team. We meet up a couple of times per year where we collaborate since we work remote, and we have started to call this workaways, and it's among the best times of the year. It's a refreshing break from our usual asynchronous communication, and also for many a break from families, which you're not allowed to say. Anyhow, as organizations began to recognize RabbitMQ's benefits, companies like Zalando adopted it for reliable messaging delivery, flexible routing, and support for high availability and clustering. And now to something else. People gather around code languages, which makes sense. They see value in interconnecting and learning from each other and creating projects together. So is it the same to gather around a message broker like we do here? What should we talk about when everyone is using the same message broker, and how do we continue the conversation when we had discussed the funniest queue names? Well, it's hard to know without trying. So in 2018, CloudAMQP teamed up with Airline Solutions, and we put our best effort in co-creating the first RabbitMQ Summit in London. And it was a learning experience in many ways, highlighting the importance of maintaining momentum. I think we need to keep push forward and ensure we are not overtaken by other message brokers claiming to be better, especially those brokers with really large marketing teams. We didn't know what to expect on this first RabbitMQ Summit, but the fact I'm standing here proves that it was not only us seeking people to meet in IRL, in real life, in person. And for that, I'm truly grateful. So I want to say thank you to Airline Solutions, Barbara and John, especially, for continuing this tradition that we have been on. Thank you for that. Around 2.18 was also RabbitMQ 3.7 released, and each virtual host gained its separate message store. And this was also a big win for us at CloudAMQP, because our free plans are a multi-tenant setup where each instance a customer setup is its own virtual host. And a common issue around this time was also that clients didn't set a prefetch. So sometimes the consumer started to consume messages, sometimes from really long queues with hundreds of thousands of messages, and the consumer crashed, and RabbitMQ had to redeliver those messages again. But it can become possible to set this default prefetch around this time, and it was also something we set as a default setting in CloudAMQP really quickly. Pivotal did a great job in creating a more active community. I really liked working with Pivotal. And I was also visiting the office back in San Francisco in 2000, I think it was 19. But it was then acquired by VMware and came back under the VMware umbrella. Here was also, it sounded like that was bad. It was not my attention. But anyhow, this was also the same year as RabbitMQ 3.8 was released, and it's one of my personal favorites. Our customers' clustering experience so far in RabbitMQ was a little bit mixed. While it worked really well for shorter queues and small messages, synchronization could be a nightmare when the queues were growing large. What happened is that when that happened, it also becomes a problem for us, of course. Message piled up, causing delays if a node went down and then came back online again. So in this version, Quorum Queue came, which significantly improved these issues, solving the long-standing problem of classic mirrored queues. But we also saw a downside with quorum queues back then in the beginning. It was that quorum queues didn't have a default memory limit, but that changed really, really quickly, which we are happy about. And additionally, Prometheus was introduced in 3.8, allowing users to monitor their messaging systems. And 2020, Kubernetes operator was introduced. And also in 2021, Streams came, providing an attractive Kafka-like feature for users that still wanted to stay in the RabbitMQ ecosystem. And this feature, of course, allowed for efficient handling of large volume of data and data streams, which made RabbitMQ a player even in that field, and that's also nice. A use case we see for streams is in e-commerce. When someone wants to analyze user shopping behavior, for example, even in real time, streams capture events like product views and purchase, allowing the platform to track trends and recommend products or improve the marketing based on user activity. In 2022, RabbitMQ introduced changes to the classic queues index and message store implementation through classic queue version 2. So now I just want you to reflect back on the last few minutes. I've talked about new features, implementations, improvements in performance, and I think we should take a moment to recognize the RabbitMQ core team for their incredible work year after year. They constantly, non-stop add new features, ensuring that RabbitMQ actually remains an attractive alternative for users entering this world of message queuing. So thank you. Bring that on. In 2023, version 3.12 came with native MQTT support, and I can continue just mentioning more and more things, but I think I will stop there and instead say what we did 2023. It was our 10th anniversary. It was 1 year late, but that happens sometimes. And we were going to a place on many of our bucket list. For a long time, we went to the Ice Hotel in Jukkasjärvi. And for us, this trip marked not only a celebration of how we grow from one happy camper in Bali to a team of this size, but also a statement of how we as humans and companies at some point start to seek our roots. Jukkasjärvi is located really up north in Sweden. And for those who are familiar with the culture of 84 Codes and CloudAMQP, we have many outdoorsy spirits who loves mountain skiing, hiking, and stuff like that. And many also started to appreciate the perks of the remote lifestyle that we have in freedom of location. Some of us moved home closer to family, like me, and others moved up north to let nature be a more integrated part of life, like Carl. He now lives high up in the mountains in Sweden. Taking the company to Jukkasjärvi was a great way introducing this part of Sweden to those who were not familiar with it and have never experienced it, at the same time as we aligned it with the interests of many of us. It was like a safe bet. And a couple of months later, our learnings turned out to be highly important for 84 Codes, as we decided to discontinue all our other offerings like Kafka, Postgres, MQTT. So sometimes you just need to align two simple factors to decide, believing in the outcome and finding joy and excitement in the project. For us, RabbitMQ has always been the star of the show. We believe in it, and we find it fun and exciting to work with. And the lessons we have learned with the other products just puts fuel onto that. And after 10 years, we're back to the AMQ protocol, really seeing its potential to compete with other message brokers. Since I started, I have majorly, of course, been working on version 3, but now version 4 is here, and I'm sure it will treat us really well. How many here has tried out for version 4? Some. Not many, but some. More will do it tonight, maybe. For CloudAMQP version 4, of course, means new features and improvements, as always, but the deprecation of mirrored queues is, in this release is what we especially looking forward to. And as many has said before, we want to see our customer migrate to streams and quorum queues. Now I will talk about something completely different. This is Molly. It's my dog. Before I adopted her, I heard a lot of stories about how nice it is to have a dog, and I was visiting friends, they had dogs, it's super cute, and so I decided to bring this little girl into my life. We have really fun together, we go on walks, we exercise. Here we have been skiing, cross-country skiing, when she's running and I'm standing behind. But I also share stories about Molly. When people hear about RabbitMQ, they hear our stories, how it helps different systems to communicate, and we share user experience to showcase its real-world impact, just as I enjoy sharing photos of this dog. Creating engaging content, like blog posts and tutorials, showcase RabbitMQ's value. And we need to keep, I think, many others too, that we need to keep hosting meetups, we need to speak at conferences, almost like dog owners gather to share tips and experiences. In the end, promoting and writing about RabbitMQ is a lot like caring for Mollies. It requires dedication, passion, and a supportive community to help others discover the benefits. And by sharing stories, we foster sense of belonging in the RabbitMQ community. So you can close your eyes for a few seconds and think about the non-stop hassle of New York. People rushing through crowded streets, taxi drivers waving through traffic. The company Relay Delivery fits right in here. Cyclists navigating the streets, trying to bring your meal to the door. At the heart of Relay Delivery is RabbitMQ, making sure everything communicates in a stable and secure way. We have seen RabbitMQ manage real-time updates, keeps everything organized in taxi, logistic, and delivery firms. Among other things, they constantly share GPS data through RabbitMQ. I had the opportunity to visit that company 3 weeks ago. And they have their office in the top of the World Trade Center, not the top, but for me it was the top. It was really high up. It's the thing that I love the most with my job, that I can go and meet customers, like you said, and talk about them. How are they using RabbitMQ? And Relay Delivery is just one of our customers that is using RabbitMQ. But at CloudAMQP, we are proud to provide our hosted RabbitMQ service to some of the world's most recognized companies. Several of the world's most famous car brands, one of the world's largest breweries, many newspapers in the United States that reaches 65 million readers a month, and a large company for payment solutions. In health, journal system, and governments, I could keep on mentioning almost every part of society because the use cases are endless. But instead, I will show a video from that. If it works, we'll see.
I bet she doesn't know. It's kind of cool that she doesn't. What am I talking about? Well, the infrastructure used by her workout application to send and receive data. And it's not just this one application. In fact, thousands, even millions of users benefit from it daily. The bank, the food delivery service, or the retail app that sends confirmation emails seconds after purchase. The use cases are endless. And the key to all this is called message queuing. Highly scalable, built to handle it all, from when data is created until it reaches its destination. Ask yourself, is your infrastructure ready for an increasing number of users? Is their data handled safely, and can they count on your application working effortlessly to give them what they need? If providing high-quality service is at the top of your mind, message queuing and RabbitMQ should be too. Because even if she is just one of thousands going on a jog at that exact time, all she cares about is that her app is working.
Over the years, we have not only seen RabbitMQ benefit different industries, we have also seen many different use cases. For work queues and microservices, it's the perfect middleman, ensuring tasks are evenly distributed across workers and keeping everything running. And when it comes to email overload, we're talking about thousands of email daily. RabbitMQ jumps in and saves the day. It lines up the emails and ensures no emails gets left behind, even when there is a huge campaigns going on. It's amazing for legacy system integrations, making sure old system play nice with new system, or when you might need to migrate from a monolithic architecture to a microservice architecture, or when you just need to migrate your whole system. And let's not forget about the streaming of data. Keeps real-time data flowing, and you can also connect more consumers to tap into that stream. And in IoT, RabbitMQ is many of our customers' go-to for keeping devices connected, making sure everything communicates. For example, it helps if a warehouse has sensors, it can alert an inventory system, for example, and tell it that it needs to restock. RabbitMQ is handling all that while at the same time supporting a lot of different protocols, making sure it can communicate with many different devices. And it's also perfect when you need to scale, like on Black Friday, or if there is a TV show on Friday evening and you need to scale up and scale down the next day. It's also a really great fit for that. I have a picture here from, it's not really clear what it is because I added it in the morning or yesterday evening. But what I want to show is how much our customers are upgrading and downgrading their servers. So it happens pretty much. Have you ever tried explaining a smart home solution to your parents, or have you tackled a child's endless why questions? Knowing the full answer would include complicated ideas. What starts as a simple why or how can end up in long conversations far from its original topic. As a daughter and the parent of that one, I experienced this a lot. And it's not always easy. So in our work at the marketing team at CloudAMQP, we often ask ourselves, at what level should we present our content, and how do we ensure that we attract different levels and different user experiences? We need to cover all levels, beginners, experts, and engage everyone into the conversation. For beginners, we have success stories, which are incredibly helpful. These stories simplify technical details and showcase the broker's power. But the bad thing is that it usually just scratches on the surface. And when we go deeper into what the company is doing, it can be pretty challenging to follow. But anyhow, to determine which level we should put our content on, we can look at the parallel in our everyday experience. And since we have talked about dogs, we'll go back to that, for instance. Everyone knows a little bit about dog care, right? So let's ask, how many of you know how to care for a dog? And then how many have tried to trim a dog's nails? And then we just keep going. What's the quickest time you have trimmed a dog's nail? Can we beat it? How have you heard about the nail cutter Paw Perfect? Just a few? Okay, then we know. But this illustrates that the more specific my questions become, the more people I lose in the audience. But on the other hand, someone just starts to listen when I mention the fictive name perfect. So we can consider similar questions in RabbitMQ. That would be like, how many have heard about microservices? How many have worked with message brokers? How many have used RabbitMQ in production with 3 nodes? And then to the real question, how many have contributed to RabbitMQ GitHub repo? Awesome. To tackle challenges in our team, we try to focus on different users type when we create our RabbitMQ content. First of all, we have the eye-openers, the people that they haven't really realized that they need a message broker yet. They benefit from these success stories and the developers who have implemented a message broker and seen significant performance improvements. So here we share customer stories in the easiest way possible, like the story about relay delivery. And we are also putting up videos that should explain message queuing. No sound on that one.
Success stories, even when it comes to data. Let me explain by using this coffee shop as an example. Here I am, ordering coffee. This should be both fast and easy. Uh-oh. That's a lot of people. Who ordered a soy milk latte, and why are people in the back starting to look angry? Okay, now just imagine this. Instead of a coffee shop with its orders and customers, we could be talking about a web shop on Black Friday, the communication between machines in an industry, or vital updates in health journals. These are systems that are expected to work no matter what. Something is needed to handle all those orders in the coffee shop. It needs a message queue. Now, the orders are converted into job instructions and added to the queue. The cashier only needs to focus on taking new orders, while the barista receives the order from the queue, delivers the coffee, and proceeds. Another barista is also called in to assist. We're ensuring all information is handled and can add more workers if needed. Despite an unexpected rush, all coffee drinkers will leave happy, and the expectations of thousands of systems can be met. Even when there are millions of coffees, I mean messages, to be delivered.
Next up, we have the beginners, and these curious people have just started to explore RabbitMQ. They need basic help. Maybe they are not even fully committed yet, but here we need the simple guides. We need to make them familiar with the different client libraries. We need to have different client libraries. And we may need to make them understand the basics in RabbitMQ. And we also want to keep RabbitMQ easy to use. Just imagine you know you need a message broker. You choose to go with RabbitMQ, and the next day you're shown with 3 different queues and 4 different exchange types, which can be a little bit scary. So we need to be there, and we need to hold their hand during that process. So when we, for example, discuss exchanges at CloudAMQP, we try to talk about it, for example, like a post office. And imagine you walk into a post office, and in front of you you have 4 desks, each representing different ways of handling letters. A direct exchange in RabbitMQ routes messages with a specific routing key to one or many queues bound to it. So in the post office, we pretend that you go in, you write your name, you write the name of the person, the routing key, to whom you want to send this letter on the envelope. And then you go to the direct exchange in the post office, you give the letter, and it sends it directly to the queue, to the mailbox of the person of the envelope. I will not give an example on fan out and header because it will just take time. So instead, we jump to the topic exchange. Here you enter the post office, you write a category, a topic on the letter. Then you go to the topic desk, And the worker looks at the topic and see, oh, I decide to send it to these queues or these mailboxes. Additionally, the topic exchange is, as we know, pretty smart. It can also do wildcard matches. In our architecture, we are using the topic exchange a lot, and many of our customers are too. And RabbitMQ is also a vital part of our own infrastructure. So when someone, we have a software as a service for RabbitMQ, so when someone press create RabbitMQ instance, we automatically set up and configure this RabbitMQ instance to our customer. But before we send the URL to the customer, we want to notify some other services about the successful task. So we add a message to the topic exchange. So for example, we have server metrics, which subscribe to the message, and it reads, oh, I should set up a new connection to the new server, and I should start to receive server-specific data like CPU and disk space. And then we have RabbitMQ metrics, who does the same, subscribe from the queue, reads, oh, I'm going to set up a new, it doesn't read, it knows what to do, but set up a new connection to the new instance and start to receive RabbitMQ specific data like queue length and so on. And the nice thing here is that we can add more and more services to the queue, to the exchange, and just subscribe to this message without our need to change the instance service, the coded instance service in any way. We can just connect more consumers to the same type of message. And without interrupting any of the other services. Sidestep, we go back to loading. What am I showing now that is so heavy? That one. The advanced user, it's exactly like that it feels. No, just kidding. These users have experience and some specific need, and they really need in-depth explanations. And here we do articles about prefetch. We test it. We give examples of how they could set it up depending on their systems. For these users, it's also crucial to have dependable client libraries that work well, and a stable RabbitMQ version and a stable Erlang version, of course, to support their project. And we know it's important to have clients libraries available in many languages. That is really good. RabbitMQ is really good at that. In 0.9.1, maybe I should add. But I wanted to show the client distribution we have at CloudAMQP right now. It looks like this. And this is client library per vhost. Another fun fact, or not, I don't know if it's fun. I think it's fun. It's that 59% of our users are on version 3.12 or higher. When I was doing this presentation, I realized that we are really bad at CloudAMQP to give enough attention to the community contributors. Something I think we need to change in the future, but they play a really important role here in improving the ecosystem, creating plugins, updated documentation, libraries, and so on. Before I end this, I want to share how my team work at CloudAMQP, and we will talk about the alternate exchange. An alternate exchange can be used when you need to, when you have messages that has routing issues. For example, if we have a logistic application for order fulfillment, an alternate exchange can be set up alongside the main orders exchange. And if a message can't be routed, for example, due to an invalid order status, the alternate exchange can catch it and redirect it to the error queue. And this acts like a safety net so that administrator can investigate and look into that message and resolve the issue. And how do we then explain this? We could write about it. We could present it in a talk like this. We can do a video about it, or we can do infographics, but this time we took some freedom and we become a little bit creative. So that's why we want to introduce Ulla-Britt. This is Ulla-Britt. I don't know if this will work, and we will release her soon, so we will see, but I think it's a pretty fun way of explaining, for example, the alternate exchange. I think I can read. An alternate exchange is like a backup plan when a message can't be delivered as expected. Let's use a simple example to illustrate this. Meet Ulla-Britt, she lives in Denmark. Every Christmas, I take the same train from Denmark to Sweden. But this year, things didn't go as planned. This year, I took the 10 a.m. train as usual, heading towards Sweden. However, Ulla-Britt had a very specific destination in mind, her family house by a cozy little town in southern Sweden called Ystad. But then, I'm sorry, madame, your ticket is invalid and you will need to disembark the train in Malmö. Wait, what? I'm on this train every year and Ystad is always one of my stops. The stops. Now, let's pause for a moment. In RabbitMQ terms, Ulla-Britt is a message, and the station where the train usually stops is the queue. And then we just keep going. If you want to see the rest of that, you either have to wait or talk to me after this presentation. We love what we do, and everything I talked about is part of a shared effort across the entire community. Everyone from users to contributors play a really important role in sharing their use cases and experience to help the whole ecosystem grow and improve. And since RabbitMQ is excellent and works reliably most of the time, why not spread it to more people? RabbitMQ has helped me get where I am today, just like reliable systems have helped shape the world. So let's keep moving forward together, improving and advancing along the way. So thank you all for your time here today, and thanks to the organizers, Airline Solutions, making this event possible, and everyone in the RabbitMQ community. And of course, to the RabbitMQ core team who keeps delivering a top product year after year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll ask a quick one then. It seems like you have a lot of experience with folks that are newer to Rabbit, folks that are more experienced. What are some of the concepts that newer users struggle with when they're first getting started?
I would easily say that it has been exchanges. Yeah.
And how do you help them through that to understand?
We have, like I said, we have done a video about exchanges, which is all about, it's following like a taxi firm. So it's like all the use cases are the same, within the same, what's it called? Within taxis. But for like topic exchange, you can decide to use a eco-friendly taxi. And we try to do the use cases so they are more like real-world examples than RabbitMQ specific and development-friendly. We are not using foobar.
Thanks. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.